Let's start with the rupee first, and it has ended the day at 62.36 to a dollar after rising to a two-week highs at 61.87 in the intraday trade. Increased dollar sales by exporters along with the weakening US dollar aided the sentiment in the forex market. There also have been reforms in China which has been supportive. The crude prices at 5-month lows is another added thing that has been supporting the Indian currency. Let's get in then. Vijay Bhamwani, who's author and CEO, BSPL India. Also joining us would be Upasana Bhardwaj. She's economist, ING Vysya Bank. Vijay, starting with you first. What's your sense coming in for the currency? Because while we did try to breach 62, we did 61.87 in the intraday market. The closing has been really flat.
Absolutely, Manisha. I've always maintained that the potential for appreciation for the rupee beyond the 61.5 odd levels will be limited. Now that you are seeing signs of appreciation by the rupee, I think the movement is likely to be fairly slow. And should it come close to the 62 levels in the prompt month future series, which quoted a slight premium to cash, I think dollar bulls will attempt bottom fishing at those levels. So I think another 0.5% to 0.75%, and you will see some amount of dollar buying coming in at low levels.
Vijay, also, what's the kind of range you would watch out now, and especially ahead of the state elections now and general elections in the next year? Most of the market participants feel it's going to be a very choppy ride continuing for the currency.
I would agree about the high volatility part, because as and when the market players try and second guess the poll outcome, I think the rupee will try and move accordingly. As far as the range is concerned, I think 60 would be a very interesting level to watch out for. I think appreciation beyond the 60 mark will take Herculean effort. And the closer it gets to the 61 or sub-61 levels, I think the more buying support you will see coming in for the dollar. On the other hand, I don't see significant scope for appreciation of the US dollar either beyond the 64, 64.5 levels. That's where I think supply will start coming in. So the broad range will be about 60 to 64.5.
Upasana, getting you in the conversation as well. What are you making out with the kind of moves that we have seen in the currency and the kind of gains? Do you see it continuing?
Manisha, in the absolute near term, definitely I would expect a very range-bound movement. I wouldn't expect too much of appreciation below, a level below 62 to sustain in the absolute near term without any external trigger. If any global development happens, then we could see that sustain for beyond a point. Because I would expect RBI to constantly be buying dollars in order to replenish its reserves going ahead, because most likely the tapering would be beginning somewhere around the end of Q1 next year, calendar year. And to that extent, I believe that sharp appreciation from current levels may not sustain beyond a point.
Upasana, also, how do you look at the Indian scenario right now? Because equity markets are gaining. You also have seen the crude oil prices at 5-month lows. The dollar is on the weaker side. Would you say fundamentals right now, while are supportive, may not exactly continue for the longer term?
Manisha, for instance, if we were to look at the current account deficit numbers, yes, definitely we are at very comfortable levels. But in the next 1 or 2 months, I would not expect trade deficit to remain as low as what we've seen in the past. In the next 2 to 3 months, I would say some pressure would come on that front. Some of the external sector-related or capital-enhancing measures that were introduced would be coming to an end. Oil demand is back. So that is the reason I would expect, in balance, less of an appreciation than what could be expected otherwise. So in terms of overall broad range, I would say a 61 to 64 is a broad range I'm looking at.
Upasana, in last 24 hours, there have been various reports that have come in from the international markets, one from CLSA, other from Julius Baer. While CLSA is putting rupee at 70, Bank of Julius Baer is talking about 55 kind of levels. How are you reading these two reports, and what's your own sense of where the rupee could be headed?
Well, I think, okay, I'm definitely not looking at either of the two scenarios at the moment. But yes, going into April, May, I think, one, there would be global uncertainty on account of Fed tapering. At the same time, we would be facing the political uncertainty. And that's where the likelihood of sharp depreciation in the currency is most likely, as in the likelihood is highest then. So I would say around the month of April is when we could possibly see maximum depreciation on the currency front because of various uncertainties arising at that point of time. But at the moment, 70 looks unlikely to me.
Upasana, how would